We decide to wait until after our dungeon run tomorrow to go investigate the explosion. If that's what it was. I spend my remaining time thinking about my family and how they are doing. Linda and the kids are hopefully fine. They were home safe in bed when I was what? Summoned. Thank goodness I wasn't driving them down the highway in our car at the time. The system admins mentioned they would be watching. Are they watching right now? For the first time since arriving, I feel homesick. Then, just as the first hint of light appears on the horizon, I get a sense of spinning, as if I had drank way too many beers. I close my eyes and suddenly I can tell I'm no longer in my rest area. I'm still laying down, but the ground is harder and the nature sounds are gone. Something grabs my shirt and yanks me onto my feet. I instantly pull my femur pad out of my inventory. I open my eyes to see a distraught Elliot.
Goodness, man. You need to have your eyes open and ready for anything when we're in the dungeon. Did you think you could just take a little nap and go back to your rest area?
No, but now that you mention it, why can't I? I'll let someone else win this, then I can head on home.
It doesn't work like that. If you don't pursue the next exit, they will bring the dungeon to you. Except when it comes to you, you won't be prepared. You need to gain skill and level up. You need real experience fighting.
He kinda pisses me off, but he's right. I was starting to feel sorry for myself and didn't react when I needed to. I can't be careless like that. You're right. I say, what should we expect here then?
No clue, but each floor has a theme. I suspect we will discover what this one is soon.
There isn't much going on in this hallway. The dim torchlight is present, and the walls have cobwebs on them. Pretty much what I would expect from a dungeon. As we walk towards the door, our footsteps echo. I examine the door for traps and don't find anything, but I still receive you have become better at detect trap. 2. In my chat log, I do notice that the door opens outward, which is strange. That would suggest it would be used to keep me from entering the room, as it's easier to push a door shut rather than pull on it to keep an intruder out. But there is no one manning the door this time. The next room is a huge square. The far wall is easily 700 feet away. We are near the middle of what I think is the west wall. There are a dozen fights happening between earthlings, I suppose, and skeletons of various sizes. Most skeletons are a little bit smaller than us. Some are giant, like the one with the rats from our first hallway. Most of the fighting is taking place hundreds of feet from us, but I see someone about 80 feet to the southeast of us fighting 3 small skeletons. I tap Elliot on the shoulder and start jogging that way. When we approach, I see it's a woman, probably in her 20s, petite, short hair and wearing jeans and a t-shirt. She rolls away from a flurry of blows from the 3 attacking skeletons. Then, before standing up, she kicks at the shin of one, which takes the bone clean off. The foot stays, but the rest of the skeleton keeps pursing, half crawling on its knee, half walking up right with its other leg. I raise my femur pad up and bring it straight down on the skeleton's head. Its skull is much more brittle than the femur I stole and crushes with a single blow, causing the rest of the skeleton to crumble to the ground. Elliot's whip wraps around the backbone of the last skeleton. He gives it a yank, and the bones scatter to the ground. Near the corner, I see a large group of 20 to 30 skeletons that have 2 people cornered. They're fighting them off, but their movements are sluggish. They're getting tired. We have to help them. I yelled to the others. We sprint toward the melee and the new person, running alongside, yells for us to look. She points to another person who are opening every door along the wall. Each time he opens another door, more skeletons come out. They are moving toward the group that is already overwhelmed.
We have to stop him.
Let's help these guys first. I don't think they're going to last much longer. Me and the newcomer slam into the back wall of monsters, crushing the skeletons with our bodies as much as our weapons. Well, my weapon, she still doesn't seem to be using one. Elliot stays a little ways back and begins taking skeletons out one by one with his whip. I swing my femur bat wide and take 2 out at once. The woman next to me kicks one square in the chest, sending it forward and knocking down 3 more. A skeleton next to me grabs my head and pulls my face down into its raised knee. I feel my nose break and my eyes instantly water up. No, I'm not crying. It just happens when you break your nose. The skeleton's leg crumbles, causing it to collapse to the ground. I kick its head, turning its temple to dust. Oh shit, my health, I say, as my health bar slips past 25%.
Come here.
Our new friend says. She puts a hand over my face, says, and looks down in concentration. My nose feels instantly better and my health bar is back to 90%.
That's the only one you get. I'm out of energy.
A skeleton pulls my arm, drawing me away from here, and another grabs me by the chest and bites at my head. I hit it with my elbow, dropping it, then jerk my arm back and skeleton's arm comes with mine. I grab it with my left hand and smack the skeleton it came from with it. They both crumble.
Who are you guys?
One of the people from the duo we came to rescue asks. The woman who healed me replies back.
We're the Crudes.
What?
Just kidding. I'm Hannah, and I don't know these two.
Elliot inches closer as a curtain of new skeletons begin to close on us, set free by the person who was opening all the doors, who is now near us and about to open the closest door. I rush to the door, beating him to it. You're going to get us killed.
No, I am going to save us.
We're already overwhelmed. We are out of stamina and energy. Every time you open one of these doors, more skeletons come out. They will overwhelm us.
One of these doors leads to safety. We just need to find the right one.
How do you know that?
I had a guide, he told me.
Where is he now?
He died.
Right. Fine. We will find the door, but you need to stop opening them now. We need to clear these out and regroup. After everyone has caught their breath, we will try another door. Together, okay? He opens the door and 3 large skeletons begin shambling toward the doorway. Then someone who I didn't know was behind me steps forward and shoves the guy into the hallway and holds the door shut with his foot. Elliot and the others have finished the battle in this corner of the room. The man with his foot on the door is the person that asked who we are.
You might not want to do that. The system will recognize it as a player kill. Why should I care about that? He nearly got us killed and he's going to get someone else killed. Whether it be now or later. He's a dumbass.
You should care because it can affect where you buy and sell. It can also make some guards immediately hostile to you.
Says the man that was fighting alongside of him.
Wait, are you a guide?
Elliot sighs.
People, hit N. On your UI, you can't see it, but just pretend it's there and that you push it.
I do as he says, and suddenly there is a nameplate for everyone. I see Elliot Guide, Hannah, the guy holding the door closed is Jesse, and with him is Julian Guide. Pounding on the door begins.
Hey, please let me back in. I'm going to die.
I think I'm okay with that.
Jesse says through the door, then looks at me.
I'm really not a bad guy. It's just... he is going to get someone killed. And if I stop him now, that person will get to live. It may even be a lot of people.
I shake my head. Maybe, but remember that man's family is watching. People who love him are about to see him die. Beaten to death even. Jesse looks at Julian, then sighs and lets go of the door. Some dumbass named Polly stumbles through the door, bloody. Large skeletal arms follow him and grab onto him, pulling him back into the hallway. We grab onto him and pull him free, then make a semicircle around the door, breaking whatever comes through into splinters. We mostly ignore Polly until the fight is over. When I look back at him, I notice he has already stopped bleeding. He's still bloody, but his body is being set right. The out-of-combat health regeneration seems to be pretty good here. He's healing pretty fast. I point out. How does that work?
It's something in the air that regenerates us. I don't know if it's something like tiny robots or something more biological, but it's controlled in some way by the system. It knows when we're in combat, it can be turned off by some spells and diseases. And most importantly, you have to be breathing. If you ain't breathing, you ain't healing, which could be important later.
Okay, get up, Polly. There's still a mess at the other end of this chamber that needs cleaned up, and you're coming with us.
Jesse says before putting his hand up as a high five, which Polly hesitantly claps and joins Jesse and Julian's party.
Why don't we all party up?
Hannah asks.
Too big of a party will stunt your experience at this level. For now, each group should be no larger than 3 people.
Julian says with his palms out, pushing at the air like he's telling someone to back up.
That's been proven a myth 1,000 times. The greater amount of kills more than compensates for splitting the EXP.
Sure, at higher levels, but everything is so easy to kill right now, it's not worth it.
So easy to kill. I'm pretty sure we just saved you and Jesse.
This goes on for a moment, and I turn to Hannah. Care to join us?
Sure.
Elliot, who must have been listening despite his argument with Julian, puts his hand out. Without slowing his speech on party economics, and Hannah claps it. A third health bar now appears on my UI. Elliot, Hannah, and me are back to full health. Working together, it doesn't take much more time to clear the chamber. Occasionally, a new Earthling wanders in, and we alert them to the situation before they open more doors. In the end, there are about 25 of us. We're near the middle with a dozen different conversations happening. I hear 2 people who sound like they are arguing quietly, and I listen in.
No, it's fine. The quest says defeat the undead that come through the doors. They are clearly not undead.
No, it says the undead has risen and we must prevent this chamber from being overrun.
Do you gentlemen need any help? I see their names are Hank and Terry, but their names are written in the same font the UI uses for NPCs.
No, we're fine. Just trying to figure out the details of this quest,
says Hank, the one who insists it's only the dead they need to worry about. This grabs Elliot's attention.
A quest. Is it shareable?
Yes, but we don't need any help.
Are you sure? Because that would have been a lot of skeletons to kill for 2 people, and there's more doors to be opened yet.
Elliot is using the voice I imagine he would have in a customer service job. Hank and Terry look at each other unsure.
It's just that we're not quite sure we're meant to share it with you.
Nonsense. The more the merrier.
Hank and Terry still hesitate, and I think I know why. You're worried we're part of the quest already, right? That you were supposed to stop us from coming in.
Well, I mean, it's a worry, I suppose. The description leaves a little to be interpreted.
Hank looks positively squeamish now. I nod. No problem then. If it lets you share it with us, then we can work together. If it doesn't, we'll find our door out and leave. You'll accomplish your mission either way.
Quest.
Terry corrects me.
Perfect.
So why don't you boys invite us to a raid and see what happens when you share the quest? A second later, a raid invite pops up on my screen. I can accept or deny it. I will the accept button, which brings a window off to my right side with tiny health bars for all of us here. It fades and doesn't block my vision as much as I would expect it to. If I focus on it, the transparency immediately decreases and I can see it well. Then a second message appears on my screen. Hank would like to share the quest Rowdy House Guests with you. I will the accept button for that too, and a quest details window pops up.
The dead of these tombs rise and believe this great hall to be the legendary Valhalla. They come for battle, and when they kill you, they believe you'll rise again to feast with them. But you will not. You will stay dead and with nothing else to do. They will eat you. Unless you defeat them and claim the glory they seek.
Well, good news. It looks like we all get to work together on this.
All right, everybody. I say loud enough for everyone to hear. Once everybody has the quest, we're going to clear this chamber one door at a time. We'll make a small semicircle with 4 people in front of the door. Hopefully, these 4 people will be able to eliminate anything that comes through. If it's more than they can handle, we'll have a large semicircle behind them that consists of everyone else that they can fall back into. We'll swap out the 4 people after every other door, so no one gets too tired. I begin walking to the nearest door. I could tell most of the people were listening. Perhaps half dozen people kept talking amongst themselves while I spoke, but everyone followed me to the door. Elliot, Hannah, Hank, and I make the first small semicircle. We clear door after door. Behind a couple doors, we find surprised earthlings. We get each of them into the raid and carry on. Every one of them seem relieved to find allies. Hopefully knowing there are others, and that they want to work together will help prevent another panic like we saw with Polly. Behind most of the doors, there is a room, or maybe a room and jail cell. But after one particular door, I notice there is a room with 3 narrow hallways extending out of it. This must be the one that takes us to safety. I think we all see it, but not one mentions it, though I'm sure Polly is dying to take off down it. I wonder what Jesse would do if he tried. After we clear the final door, they all slam shut. Red light shines through the cracks in the doors from the hallways into the chamber. Eerie music from a hurdy-gurdy fills the air, and I feel myself become weightless, as if I'm floating in space except my feet are still on the ground. The clothes I'm wearing and the femur bot no longer feel like they weigh anything, and something begins to pull me and everyone else toward the center of the room, then back toward the back of the room. We are lined up like chess pieces on a too large chessboard. Then all the skeleton pieces begin to drift toward the middle and form lines. The big pieces get there first, and slowly the splintered pieces drift to them and reattach. The smaller skeletons are in the front, and the larger ones form the columns, 5 columns in total. Heavy drums begin beating and a voice speaks over the music.
Now that we have all gathered in the dining hall, we'll have one last battle before we feast.
You've got to be shitting me.
Terry said under his breath somewhere nearby to my left. I have Hannah and Elliot on my left and right. The first column of skeletons charge. We don't have shields, spears, or anything that I think would contribute to a good defense, and we must all be thinking the same thing, because almost as one we take a step forward and encouraged by the movement of our comrades, we take another, quicker step, then another. We begin our charge against the silent skeleton army. We yell as we run toward them. Once we are in full charge, the other 3 ranks of skeletons begin there, 30 paces behind them. We clash. The first skeleton shatter, doing nearly no damage to the raid, but some of us stagger, and we don't have time to form up and meet the next charge with one of our own. It hits us, and I swing at the arm coming down at my face, which takes it off, but the skeleton, which is a little bigger than me, stays standing. The row behind it pushes it forward. I lean down and it goes over my back, putting me up against the next skeleton. I look down our line, which is no longer a line, and we are essentially surrounded. Most of us are fighting with rocks and bones, but I notice some people have sticks, and I realize they got them from their rest areas. It's a good idea the skeleton socks me in the face, bringing me back to the moment. I stick my femur bat into its rib cage, tilt up, and pull toward me, breaking several ribs on its left side. with a larger portion of its backbone exposed now. I take a swing and break the skeleton in two. There's a scream on my right toward the edge of the melee. I see one of the larger skeletons holding an earthling up by his throat. A woman next to him is screaming. Whether it's a friend or guide, I cannot see from here. The skeleton's arm breaks in two, and the person falls to his hands and knees. The skeleton swings his arm at the man like a punch, except it doesn't have a fist. Instead, it has a shattered arm bone, which enters the man's throat and breaks off. The woman and two others take out the legs of the larger skeleton before crushing it. The rest of the battle feels somewhat muted, as if when the man died, the sound was turned way down. I could easily hear my breathing, but the sounds of battle seemed distant. It seemed like things should snap back to normal since I noticed this, but they did not. Sort of like when you hear ringing in your ears and you know it's not really there, so it should go away, but it does not. When the last skeleton is killed, quest complete. Flashes on my screen and I receive a new trophy. You completed your first quest and have received a silver trophy. I feel myself become weightless again. We are all moved to the edges of the chamber, along the walls. The doors open back up with a bang. Almost instantly, the skeleton's pieces are sucked out of the room, along with the man who died, and 6 long tables appear in the room. There's just enough chairs for each of us. Each table contains the same food: a roast chicken and some ducks, shredded brisket, potatoes, gravy and bread, various cheeses, vegetables, beer, wine, and pitchers of water. The party and I sit at one of the middle tables.
You don't suppose this food is poisoned?
Hannah asks.
No, this is a quest reward. It's safe.
Elliot reassures her. All of the food is delicious, cooked to perfection. I forgo the beer and wine and sip water instead. I try to listen to the people around me recount the battle, but for the second time today, I mostly miss it. That person was just pulled out of the room like he was never here. I look for the woman who was screaming and spot her a couple of tables away. She has tears on her face and there are people trying to reassure her. What could they possibly say? I surely don't have anything better to say to her, so I choose to not interrupt. It's been close to an hour and everyone is full, but the conversations around me are not slowing. Most are quite lively, and it seems some have taken full advantage of alcohol. The general mood is merry when we are suddenly teleported back to our rest areas.